From the shadow of Mount Rainier comes your business superheroes, the Disruptors, Bill and Candace.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors. Welcome to the show. Today is an introduction show. We're going to talk about who we are and what we do. So I want to start out, first of all, talking about Kiba. And Kiba, the Kiba agency that's unlocking your social media visually on social media.
So Bill, how did you come up with your name Kiba?
Well, that's a very interesting story, but way back several years ago, I was working in the entertainment industry, and when we would go in to sign a contract, I had another gentleman with me, which was a band player. He played bass, very super guy, and we would go in and we would sign a contract to perform. And every once in a while, at the end where you get the signature down, you kind of want to give them a little extra something special, to reward them, to thank them for giving us an opportunity to play. Well, one day I left the organization with my musical buddy, and we got in the car, and he looked at me and says, I'm from New York, and I'm not Italian. And I thought, okay, well, that's cool. But he says, I got something for you. And I said, what's that? He says, the next time that we sign a contract, when you sign it, would you do me a favor and keep your mouth shut? You see. So all these years, I've used Kiba in different areas because it was just kind of a pet name at first. And when we had the opportunity a couple of years ago to go into social and marketing and do this social media, I figured I might as well, being that I talk all the time, use the word Kiba. So that's where and how it came from.
Well, I really like that. How about, I see it here, unlocking your visual social media.
Well, what we want to do is, Candace, throughout the years, when I first started out many, many years ago, over 30 years ago, we didn't have technology like we have today. We didn't have the opportunity to be able to jump on the internet and talk about our companies or branding or anything else. So when I left high school, my dream was to be able to take different products that were new to the industry and develop them and introduce them to the general public. And we started out with the Sony Corporation of America in video and worked through many, many organizations, from siding, from construction, everything that you could really think of that was a new marketed item. And I didn't have the source that we have now, so it was all hands-on, meeting with people, shaking a hand, and getting them to understand what the new product could do to solve problems that we've, thought that it was a wonderful product to work with. We worked with corporations like owning Corningware when they brought in the first fiberglass shingles. That's roofing material, not a disease, by the way. We worked with George Weyerhaeuser on the first, what he called the W Homecoming, Weyerhaeuser Homecoming, where we actually got on a train and set up video equipment so that they could teach classes while that train went from mill to mill. We did a lot of different things, from audio, MATV systems. We worked in different fields. And until about 1983, when I decided to jump from that market into janitorial products and systems, and worked with Coastwide Janitorial Supply, which is no longer with us. However, we worked with many different companies and exploring on how to clean carpets, better way of doing it, better chemicals, building different companies in the janitorial industry for over 30 years, and back into construction, and kind of a world of taking somebody's product and their image and taking it to the market. Today,
that sounds really interesting.
So it gives us great pleasure today because we have so many different things electronically that we can do, and we can reach from just local group, we can go global. And now we're working with podcasting, and what we do is we do video, we do podcasting, but our main goal is to take your company and your image and your brand and get it out there to the general public on the wonderful internet and social media. It's got so many platforms to work from. So I guess If I could design a T-shirt to wear, I would have it with a great big box, and the lid would be open in the corner, and it would be dark inside, but there'd be two eyeballs looking out of the box, because that's what we like to do. We like to think and work outside the box to market different companies and to bring brands to the marketplace.
So, Bill, tell me, I want to ask you questions that, that are just not traditional questions. So
not traditional.
Who's your favorite type of client to work with?
I think the favorite type of client that I really enjoy working with is somebody that has a goal and a product, and they really have the drive to bring that to the marketplace. Now, when I say drive, there's so many unusual products that are now available that we never see or hear of. Or on the internet, systems or services that never get off the blocks. I can't even speak today. And it's curious to me why, with all this technology, no one ever thought of building or designing platforms that could bring them to the public. So I like the challenge. I like to get into a company that has real prospective, hardcore spirit behind it with a need for the public that they need to see that'll work and solve a problem.
What has been your most exciting client to work with, or project? I'll do project.
Well, I think that the most exciting product and project that I ever worked with was way back at the beginning, and that was with American Sony Corporation. When they introduced, in 1968 through 69, they introduced what they call a half-inch videotape. Now, up until that point, videotape was 1 inch, and it was manufactured by Ampex. The machine was about 1,200 pounds. So lugging it around, except in a studio situation, was impossible. They came out with a half-inch videotape and an actual portable machine that had 3 hours recording time, reel-to-reel, and a camera, and you could put it on, and you could do, the things you could do with it. We did from race cars, sitting in a race car and zooming around the track at IRS in Seattle. We did surveillance with it. We did watching people bowl. We did hundreds of different projects with Sony Corporation so that they could find out how they could utilize that product. The most exciting aspect of everything, though, was to take groups that in the music industry couldn't compete with the big boys in town. They couldn't get bookings because a lot of the places would say, hey, I don't want to bring that band in. Don't bring them in. I mean, they're probably wonderful. Hey, they're great, I'm sure. But the managers of the clubs would say, I don't want to risk the time of having my house musicians take a day off while you audition with your group. And my understanding was, well, okay, you're afraid of the group. But do you have 10 minutes? And they'd usually look at me like, yeah, right, you're going to explain this to me in 10 minutes. Well, I'd say, it's very interesting. I have the group in my pocket. Now, if you have 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'll bring them in, set them up on your desk, and you can sit there and watch 30 minutes and meet the group. What was astounding about it was it gave us the opportunity to hit 98% booking in the city of Tacoma through Pierce County without ever bringing the band into the business whatsoever.
Well, that's really innovative.
So it was outside the box. And from there, we've done a lot of different projects just like that, outside the box.
So where do you see Kiba going in the next 10 years?
I think that the future of Kiba is going to be entirely different than when we started. I think that now giving us the opportunity with all the technology and putting together organizations and working with organizations like Wild Child, for instance, it gives us the opportunity to reach out further than we've ever reached before. We have a much bigger audience than we ever had before, and we have the possibilities now to reach that general audience, to build relationships, and to, I guess, go from global to universal to all galactic and all the planets. So I see a lot of growth potential in the next 10 years.
So with the podcast, what are you trying to, in your heart of hearts, what are you trying to actually convey to our listeners?
In the podcast is this very simple what I'm trying to do. Everybody has a voice and everybody has a story. And it's so interesting to be able to sit down and actually have a simple conversation so that our audience can be like a fly in the corner of the wall and they can actually hear us develop different points about somebody's business or get to know them and build a relationship by simply hearing them talk about their business and their goals and where they want to go.
You're inspiring. You're inspirational, Bill.
Well,
I love
you.
your story. I love your heart. Love where you're wanting to take the company. And I love the fact that you can actually make an impact, and you have the resources to really push people's social media to really the next level and beyond.
Well, we hope so. And with the technology that we have available now and thinking outside the box, we hope to reach into whole different marketplaces that we haven't been before, giving our individual clients an opportunity to balance out the playing field, get out there and actually be able to compete with the big boys.
So if I wanted to call you and contact you because I got questions or I need a bid for a project, that phone number is?
The phone number you can reach me at, direct line, is 253-961-6170. And you can get a hold of us there. Or better yet, go to our Facebook, Keeba, and that's Keeba Agency, and it's right on Facebook. You can drop us a line or talk to us through the messenger service there. Or, last but not least, get a hold of us on Gmail, and that's Keeba, Keeba Agency @gmail.com.
Very nice.
Well, thank you. But now, let me go back one step here. A year and a half, 2 years ago, I met this lady at I think it was Puyallup Library.
Who could you be talking about?
I would have no idea. And I was so inspired because we had come out with a new platform and a new opportunity. And bingo, I heard a lady speak that was quite an inspiration. And I kept thinking to myself, this is the lady that can take business to another, a whole brand new world of success, from local to global to galactic. And that lady happened to be our co-host, Candace Thompson.
You're too kind.
Well, I tried to be kind because it was so exciting for us. I think we met also at a couple of business networking meetings. We had the opportunity, and I was enriched by the fact that I had the chance also to have a one-to-one, which I really recommend to our listening audience. If you've got a small business and you need some help accelerating that business, you need to talk to the wild child, Candace Thompson, and you need to really, really get involved, because she can take your business to a complete new platform, and it's remarkable. And I can't say enough, and it's really a pleasure to have her on our podcast so we can talk about business.
Well, thanks, Bill. I like to be here. I'm going to give a little bit about my background, but I'm not going to make it very long. So my parents have, growing up, they would buy businesses, or they start businesses, make them into a success story, sell them, and so on and so forth. So they, at one point, was the largest food concessionaire for Pierce County. And so growing up as kids, we would, especially at Monroe State Fair, we would go out. This is going to date me, when Mr. Burback and Mr. Bollinger actually owned Fantastic. And we would go to the carnival side, and they would teach us all kinds of different things. And everything from recognizing fake dollar bills to how do you move a garbage can to control a crowd. And it was really rather fascinating. So when I say I've been in business my whole life, I really mean I've been in business my whole life. When my parents owned a deli, I could tell you how many slices of roast beef before we became profitable. How many we make them, you bake them pizzas before that employee was paid for. So learning from a very young age and having those conversations with my mother, sitting down and saying, what colors, does those colors match that business? Does that name, the name of the company, can you take that local or will you take that global? And what does that really look like? So that was a little bit about my background. The rest is kind of history, working with large corporations and small, young startup companies. I believe that really the world could be a much better place with entrepreneurialism, because it allows us a platform where the dreamers and the creators live, for them to really take a look and create something that's not there. I often consider entrepreneurs and young CEOs as modern day explorers, pushing boundaries, challenging their resolve, and living outside their comfort zone.
I really think, Candace, if anybody ever got the opportunity, and I hope everybody does, to sit down and either enjoy one of your classes. Now, you have classes available, is that correct?
I do. We've